So, in our first 2 weeks, you got introduced to how to draw lines and circles and shapes and move things around and edit them. So, you're starting to get an idea of how to operate CAD to make drawings. And the next part is once you can create the lines, you have to do something called following drawing standards. Now, unfortunately, as you can see here, here's a standard for NASA on how to get drawings done. And there's 128 pages to this. And here's uh, ASME, Society of Mechanical Engineers. And there's Y14. And that's another 30 or 40 pages. NASA is about NASA things, and ASME is about mechanical engineering things. And there's another one called ISO 128, General Principles of Presentation. That's an ISO, International Standards Organization. And here's one about construction documents and how to do them. And oh my gosh, look at there's 38 pages, and this is just the um, couple of the sections of it. And there's drawing standards. This is from the city of New York. Lo and behold, each individual planning agency might have their own, as will companies. Here's one about from United States National CAD Standard from the National Institute of Building Sciences. Here's an engineering standard from Los Alamos where it's got a list of standards. Oh my gosh. Here's another one, architectural cabinets, landscape design, you name it. Each industry or company or use will have a standard. So you can imagine there's no way that we're going to teach you all the standards in this class, let alone in our whole program. What we're going to do is teach you the AutoCAD tools that will let you set it up so that you can follow these standards. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week. And in particular, you're going to see something called paper space and model space. Those are two different parts of the AutoCAD workspace. One is just like a piece of paper, and you can make drawing sheets on it. And the other is where your actual model gets made, even if it's just a 2D drawing model. And then you'll find that many of these standards talk about how heavy a line should be or how light a line should be. That's called line weights. And then different line types are used to signify different things. In architecture, there's thick, medium, thin, and far. In mechanical, there's object, hidden, center, phantom. In landscaping, there's irrigation, gas, border, grass. And then to coordinate all those ways of looking at lines, we group them together so that everything that's sort of alike will be on a thing called a layer. And it's just a way to group the properties of your lines. And some of those properties are color, line weight, and line type. Okay. And so these are all ways that help us meet the drawing standards. And finally, every single discipline uses different text standards and dimension standards, from the size and the font and to even what the numbers mean and the symbols that are used. So text and dimensions are also important parts of the standards. So we're just going to introduce to you some of the tools in a very, very simple mechanistic way that will let you practice over and over and over again. You will find that wherever you start to work, once you've graduated or even when you're still taking classes from us, will teach you the standards. As a matter of fact, they usually prefer that we don't teach you the standards because they want a nice, fresh mind. Now, we will use standards in our program, and we will teach you some standards in our classes, but mostly they're going to be ones that your professors are familiar with from working in their own industries. And we also know that there's room to change all those standards. As a matter of fact, you might even work for a company that has a standard, and your job is to turn incoming drawings into that standard or outgoing drawings into the client's standards. There's a lot of work going back and forth between standards. So this will be an introduction. If you're already familiar with an industry standard, please place it aside and start following the standards that we ask for. And of course, this week we're just going to be doing some very basic introduction of the tools that will let you follow the industry standards.